Canada was built on immigration, and for decades, its global reputation of open doors to immigrants helped counter its aging population and its labor shortages. But with increasing strains on housing affordability and healthcare, those doors started to close in 2024. According to the last federal census in 2021, there were 8.3 million immigrants in Canada, about 23% of the total population, and the largest proportionally among the G7 countries. In a 5-year period from 2016 to 2021, Canada welcomed over 1.3 million immigrants as the U.S. President Donald Trump restricted access to many wishing to immigrate there. While hundreds of thousands of immigrants continued to settle in Canada in 2022 and 2023, housing supply and health services failed to meet the increased demand.
We've had a tremendous shock in terms of population growth in Canada, right? So anytime an economy goes from a pretty stable rate of, let's say, 1% population growth, and almost overnight sees that jump to 3%, that's going from about 500,000 people per year to almost 1.5 million. It's a tremendous shock for the economy to absorb. And when you think about things like just demand for housing, demand for basic services, healthcare, transportation infrastructure, things like that, it's a tremendous stress for the economy to absorb overnight.
Conservative Party leader Pierre Poilievre is promising if he forms the next government, his immigration plan would restore Canada's global reputation.
We had the best immigration system in the world. Just 9 years ago, we had a housing surplus. We built more houses in 2015 than were necessary to house the new people coming to the country. It's hard to believe. We had one home for every 1.5 new people, and that was a housing surplus. I was housing minister. Why? Because we had a controlled, common sense immigration system that had worked for a century and a half, and Justin Trudeau came along and with reckless abandon totally demolished it.
Poilievre says his government would stop illegal arrivals and do more to secure the border and ports of entry. He's also pledging to end abuse in the Temporary Foreign Workers Program and the International Student Program. He says his government would cap overall population growth so it does not outpace housing and other services. In October, the Liberal government announced it was cutting its immigration numbers and pausing the population growth.
Today, we're announcing that we will reduce the number of immigrants we bring in over the next 3 years, which will result in a pause in the population growth over the next 2 years. Because in the tumultuous times as we emerged from the pandemic, between addressing labor needs and maintaining population growth, we didn't get the balance quite right.
The announcement to reduce immigration numbers in 2025 to 395,000 and 2026 to 380,000 also placed caps on temporary foreign workers and the number of international students studying in Canada.
The previous government, the Harper government, implemented the express entry system, which is meant to target the economic needs of Canada. And one adjunct to that was this point system, which allocated increased priority to people who had studied and worked after graduating. So this became almost a kind of unspoken assumption that this would be a direct pathway to permanent residency.
In June last year, Leger Marketing released a poll that showed 64% of respondents believed immigration was having a negative impact on the housing market. A similar study by Environics Institute found that 58% of Canadians believed the country accepts too many immigrants, with Conservative Party supporters putting that concern at 80%, Liberal supporters at 45%, and NDP at 36%. NDP leader Jagmeet Singh says the Liberal government cuts to immigration are an acknowledgement they had messed up and that there was no real plan put in place to address the challenges of immigration.
People who tell me they feel let down by the Liberals, I understand that. And now we've got a choice in this next election. It's going to be between Conservatives who want to cut, and it's going to cost you, or New Democrats who want to make life more affordable.
Quebec, unlike the rest of Canada, has a distinct immigration system and more authority in this area than any other province or territory. Bloc leader Yves-François Blanchet wants the federal government to consult with provinces on any changes or cuts to immigration.
There's a kind of always interplay between it's embedded right in the immigration laws, where there's an obligation for family reunification and economic benefit to Canada, and our adhering to international treaties relating to humanitarian and refugees. So there's always going to be, depending on the government in power, they will always put some emphasis on one versus the other.
In January, the Parliamentary Budget Officer said the plan to reduce the number of immigrants will result in a 1.7% drop in GDP. Many premiers and business leaders said the government's cuts would impact efforts to build more homes and hire more workers in the health sector, as many rely on the immigration system to mitigate labor sector shortages.
When we look at the numbers and we look at where we are in the demographic curve, about 350,000 per year of skilled immigration is about the right number to offset just what's happening higher up in the age cohorts in Canada with retirements, and to kind of keep population growth running at or slightly below 1% going forward. That would keep that pipeline of skilled labor full for the next 10 or 20 years down the road as the baby boom fully moves out of the job market.
Until housing and other services catch up with demand, it remains to be seen if any future federal leaders will reopen the door to immigration level increases.